Hi there, so in honour of the new series of Doctor Who starting tonight in the UK, and I don't even know where else in the rest of the world, due to the UK being the best country ever. Can't wait. I will attempt something spectacular. Neremon tried to explain Lost in 3 minutes, the Fine Brothers tried to explain Doctor Who in 6 minutes, but tonight I'm going to explain the entire Doctor Who saga in only
4 minutes.
I'd also like to warn you that I did most of my research on Wikipedia, which means some falsities may occur. So let's start at the very beginning. Doctor Who is the story of an eccentric time-travelling billionaire who has the ability to travel through time and space thanks to his TARDIS. The show began in 1963 and was originally called Mrs. Who, a cooking show showing women how to be better housewives. But when viewing figures dropped, the BBC introduced the Daleks. The Daleks are the evil ghosts of Nazi soldiers trapped inside adamantium kettles and are the Doctor's greatest foe. The first actor to play the Doctor was William Hartnell. William Hartnell played the Doctor as quite a grouchy old man and in real life refused to take part in the Doctor Who breakdancing special. The BBC came up with a nifty trick called Regeneration. So after 3 weeks of painful and expensive facial surgery, William Hartnell was rechristened Patrick Hartnell. However, in 1967, Patrick failed to come into work due to an upturned lorry on AM25. The BBC sold the show and all the merchandising rights to Japan, where the role of the Doctor was taken up by George Takei. When it was revealed that George Takei had a strange mutation in his hands causing his fingers to attach, Japan hastily sold the show back to the UK. Back in the UK, the BBC cast ex-convict Thomas Baker as the new Doctor. The show was going well until 1981 when Thomas stole the TARDIS from the BBC prop cupboard and began rewriting time so that all men had faces of babies and all babies had the faces of men. Also during this series we meet the Doctor's faithful robotic llama K-10. After the apprehension of Thomas Baker, the BBC had to find a replacement quickly. Each episode of Doctor Who is filmed live and broadcast every single day, so the BBC writers famously used a dog in a suit for the show for the years of 1981 through to 1984. For actors' union reasons, the dog was named Peter Davidson, but Peter was fired from the show because of an incident during a live Christmas morning episode in which he began to wipe his bum across the TARDIS floor. The BBC received well over 2 complaints, which means Peter was fired into the sun. Controversially, the show was deemed too scary for children, and the BBC decided to hire a professional clown as the 6th Doctor. Unfortunately, a lot of children became even more terrified, so the BBC filmed a live execution in which the clown, formerly known as Colin Baker, was eaten by wolves. Really bad wolves. After this devastating failure, the show had to be rebooted to be hipper and cooler. The BBC hired David Hasselhoff, a young, sexy actor in the role of the Doctor. They changed the stuffy old TARDIS into a sports car, voiced by Prince Charles, which is where the famous phrase, "Prince Charles, I need you," originated from. However, a movie was made entitled Doctor Who and the Philosopher's Stone, starring Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor. This was his only appearance as the Doctor due to World War III. The 9th Doctor didn't appear for some time, until the BBC received a letter from an 89-year-old woman from Basildon who reminded the BBC that they had forgotten to make a new episode of Doctor Who in nearly 10 years. Christopher Eccleston was the 9th Doctor in a brand new series which took the BBC by storm. But the fame soon got to him, and during the peak of his career, Christopher Eccleston claimed he was bigger than Jesus, and he lost everything. So at the end of 2005, viewing figures dropped, and the Doctor had to be recast. This time, to drum up publicity, a nationwide reality TV show was created by Simon Cowell called Britain's Got Doctors, where thousands auditioned. The role eventually went to Joe Thomas, a banker from Surrey, but in a cruel twist of fate, Joe was killed by a tour bus housing all 4 members of the Chameleon Circuit. Christopher Kendall was then cast as the 11th Doctor. Many parents complained that too much of the show was taken up by the Doctor making love to his new companion, Amy Pond. However, these were soon forgotten and Chris went on to become the most famous and most loved Doctor Who of the entire history of the show. Da-da-da-dun, 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 da-da-da-dun.
You just watched Crabstick's video. Big wisdom in timer.